Rick here from Talk Stock Network, and everyone in the comments asked me to make a video about the CFL and rules behind it and what the CFL is, if it's pro league, um, where it compares to the NFL. But I have a 4-page document on everything to do with the CFL. Then I have some videos to run by and some other information to explain different things in the rules, rivalries in the team, in the league, and everything. But so, anyways, to start with the league rules, each game is 4 quarters, 15 minutes long, 20 minutes run clock. Now, the NFL stadiums are 100 by 53 and 1/3 yards, and midfield is at 50 yards, whereas the CFL fields are 110 yards by 65, and midfield is at 55. The NFL end zones are 10 yards, whereas the CFL end zones are 20. So if you look here, so this is the difference. So this is ideally what an NFL field looks like on paper. You got the midfield point, you got the 10 yards, goal lines at the end zones, whatnot. Here's a CFL field. The goalposts are in the end zone or at the goal line. You got bigger end zone, midfielder, more wider field, and longer field. In NFL, there's 3 timeouts per half, but in the CFL, there's 2. Kickoff is from the 35 yard line with no fair catch rule in the CFL. However, when the ball lands the opposing team has to give the player 5 yards. Otherwise, it's a penalty for no yards. There's only 3 downs in the CFL, where in the NFL, there's 4 downs. So in the NFL, you can run 3 offensive plays and then punt on the 4th down. But in the CFL, most teams will either run and then pass, or pass and then, depending on how many yards you got on the first play, you run, or you pass, depending on the yardage. In the CFL, you can get a single point by a missed field goal, if you punt the ball out of the end zone, if you go to punt and you punt the ball out of the end zone, or you go for a kickoff and it goes out of the end zone. I haven't seen the kickoff one done yet, but I've seen the going wide out of the end zone for the field goal and the punt. If team A scores by a touchdown, you have the option to go for a kickoff, or you can start at your own 40-yard line. In the CFL, there's a play called by scrub kick, which I'll show you in a second, where if you're running and you can scrub the kick 5 yards and then land on it for the first down. So we're gonna look at the scrub kick. Oh, hold on. Get rid of these ads first. Okay, So watch the white team. They're just gonna throw it, and then 2 yards. Hey, it wasn't really 5 when I was talking about it, but you catch it, and then you scrub kick it 2 yards, past the yard of the first down, and then land on it. So that's the scrub kick, which everyone in the CFL hates but Montreal, because Montreal's the only one that does it. During each play, there is a neutral zone, which is 1 yard apart from the offensive line to the defensive line. So you have to have 1 yard off the ball. Goalposts, like I showed you in the picture, are on the goal line, whereas the NFL, they're in the back of the end zone. CFL has the waggle, which the receivers can motion as much as they want on the offensive line. So we're going to show the waggle. or as we call the waggle. Up here? These three here? Are these guys here? So that is pretty much the waggle in a 2-minute video. So designated American rule. So designated Americans, national Americans, or designated nationals may replace for a max of 25 plays. So a designated American is a non-starting American player who may play on all special teams. During the offense or defensive possession, he only may play on. He may only replace an American on the field, which I'll show you in a second what that means. So, as a designated American, he cannot play the first snap. If a club dresses more than the minimum number of national players required, this action will reduce the number of American players on the roster and thus reduce the number of DAs a team can employ. Or nationalized Americans. Nationalized Americans are defined as having played with their current team for 3 years or at least 5 years in the league. One nationalized American may be listed as one of 8 national starters. A club must start at least 8 nationals. Nationals are Canadians. However, one of these nationals may be a nationalized American. Prior to the game, each club must identify how many national starters will be playing on offense and defense, and that number cannot be divided from. Replacing an injured national player. As was the case in 2023, an injured national player can be replaced by a nationalized American, national, or global player. Now, global player is a player from Mexico or Europe. If this occurs, that national player may return to the game at any point once he is healthy to do so. Designated nationalized Americans replacing designated national players up to 5 snaps. So that means if you're a designated American, you can come in for a designated national player up to 25 snaps. Again, I will show that to you in a second. National player and his backups for 25 snaps. As the club are aware, these snaps are tracked by league personnel and club staff may follow. Once the club has reached its 25 snap quota on either offense or defense, they may no longer be able to substitute in this matter for the remainder of the game. If they violate this rule, the commissioner will have rules to impose fines to the club, general manager, head coach, as well as having the option to take away draft picks. The designated national American will not start the game and will be identified as a DA. There can be one of these players on offense and one of them on defense. The designated American will be identified on the depth chart after the first play on his side of the ball. This player may enter the game for any American and play for the remainder of the game, or play in place of a designated national player or his backups for up to 25 snaps. Okay, so I'm just going to use this as an example. Let me hold up here so that you can see it. So the designated American. So on, like I was saying, the rules, you can only have one on offense and one on defense. So Tim White, this is the last game of the season, but most of the season he was a designated American on offense. And for us, Trey Mason was our designated American. So, and Wilson, because he was game time decision. So you can only have one on offense and one on defense. Overtime. Each team is given an equal number of offensive possessions per overtime. A coin will determine who starts on offense. The initial team will begin its drive with the football at the opponent's 35-yard line. The other team can score. The other team can score once the initial offense team scores or turns over the ball. So basically, you start at the 35-yard line. If you only get 2 downs, you either kick it on the 3rd or you go for the touchdown. If you get nothing, that's it. The other team goes. And then the good thing about overtime is you want to be the second. You want to go second, because then if the other team either gets a field goal, which is 3 points, or nothing, you at least know that you just need to get a touchdown from the 35. And if you look at it, 35 is right here. So you start from here and you work your way into the end zone. But if you get a first down, you continue. If a team scores a touchdown, it must attempt a 2-point convert. You can't go for one. If teams remain tied after the 2 mini games, the game is listed as tie in the standings. During the playoffs, the game would continue until there was a winner. So the 9 teams in the league are Ottawa Redblacks, Montreal Alouettes, Toronto Argonauts, Hamilton Ticats, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Saskatchewan Roughriders, Calgary Stampeders, Edmonton Eskimos, and BC Lions. So if you're an American, you've never watched CFL before, if you start from the West Coast, so we're talking Seattle, California, that BC is just above. Then from there, you go Alberta, Saskatchewan, and in Regina, Winnipeg, Ontario, then Montreal. Salary cap for 2025 is $5.65 million, or $125,556 per roster spot. And so when they say roster spot, you're talking per position. So that means one quarterback, running back, receiver, offensive line, etc. Rookie salary is 70,000 Canadian, or at today's dollar value, because we know Canada's to the Americans dollar sucks right now because it's only at 66 cents for the American dollar. It would be 48,339 depending on the American dollar. Quarterbacks are the most expensive player, which can, for example, I wrote here, which can make up to roughly 625,000. Which Chad Kelly, former Denver Bronco, is the highest paid player in the league. NEU Sport, which is Canadian University, so it's basically Canadian University is the Canadian version of the NCAA. You can get a 3-year deal out of university. Any American that is signed from the U.S., if it's not listed as to what their contract is, it's automatically a 1-year plus team option. If it says 2 years, then it's 2 years, but if it's only 1 year, it's 1 year plus team option. Or at least for the rookies it is, anyways. If a team spends over the cap, they pay a fine up to the first 100,000. Anything after that is a fine plus forfeit of the first round draft pick in the draft. that out. Roster size. So player positions. Each position counts as 45 players. 45 players. Minimum of 44, which includes 3 quarterbacks, at least 1 global player, non-Canadian or American, so European. Teams can dress up to max of 19 Americans, not including quarterbacks or nationalized Americans, and a minimum of 21 players, which are Canadians. Offensive line, like the NFL, consists of left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle as normal with the NFL. However, in the CFL, you get 2 wide receivers and 3 slot backs, whereas the NFL, you get 3 wide receivers and a tight end. In the CFL, you could dress a tight end as a fullback. Keep in mind, CFL, we have 12 players on a field. NFL, they have 11. Defense has 2 defensive lines on either side, a nose tackle and defensive tackle. But in the NFL, you can do a defensive line of 3 people and 4 linebackers. However, in the CFL, we're the weak side linebacker, which I'll show you on here. So this is the weak side linebacker here. Move this over here. Is the left inside linebacker as it would be in the NFL. And the NFL, you can have 2 middle linebackers. In CFL, you have 1. And then the strong linebacker is typically a DB position, which is this side here. In the NFL, they have 2 corners, 2 safeties. However, in the CFL, they have 2 corners, 2 halfbacks, and one safety. So you'd have the 2 corners and then the 2 safeties. But here we have corner, halfback, free safety, halfback, cornerback. With the rosters, there's a 1 game IR, which is typically scratch players. And if they're really injured, more than 1 game, like if they think that, so if you're going to be anything more than 3 games, you typically go on the 6th game, but you can come off at the 4-game mark early. So the stadiums, BC Place holds 54,300. Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton holds 56,302. McMahon Stadium in Calgary for the Calgary Stampeders holds 35,650. Mosaic Stadium holds 33,500. Because I forgot to put an extra 0 there. Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg holds 33,422. BMO Field holds 25,000. Tim Hortons Field, which will be renamed because Tim Hortons did not renew the rights to the stadium. It holds 24,390. TD Place Stadium in Ottawa for the Ottawa Redblacks holds 25,000. And then Mosaic Stadium, Molson Stadium, Memorial Stadium, where McGill University plays in the U Sports, it holds 20,025 fans. So the rivalries are Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, Toronto, Calgary, and Edmonton. Schedule-wise, training camp begins the 2nd week of May, which preseason begins the 3rd week of May and finishes on the 30th of May, which teams have to finalize the roster by June 1st or June 2nd at the latest. Kickoff of the season is June 5th, which is 21 weeks, with 3 byes, so 3 weeks with teams to rest, whatnot, for a schedule of 18 games. Almost like the NFL, but the NFL only has one bye instead of 3 byes per team. Season concludes this year on October 25th, with the East semifinals on November 1st. The division finals on November 8th, both on Saturdays, and then the 2025 Grey Cup will be in Winnipeg this year at President Princess Auto Stadium, which is scheduled for November 16th. Now, for drafts, there's 2 drafts. You have the rookie draft, which is the same thing as the NFL draft. Except for the NFL draft, they have, what is it? Round 1 on day 1, 2 and 3 is day 2, and then 3 to I think 7 or 8 is on day 3. Whereas our rookie draft is one night. You only have 9 teams, so I mean, you can't. Doesn't take that long. Global draft is 2 rounds. U Sports consists of 4 different leagues. AUS is the East League, like the East Coast League, where it's New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, etc. OUA, which is all of Ontario. RSEQ is Quebec universities. And then CW is universities from Winnipeg to Saskatchewan to Alberta, all the way to BC. The global draft is 2, like I said, 2 rounds. It includes any players from Mexico or any European players. As far as TV coverage, whereas the NFL has CBS, you have Fox, you have Amazon, you have all those things, whereas in Canada, we just have TSN. Now they're starting to do it on TSN's sister channel, CTV. US, you can either find it on CBS Sports, or sometimes they have it on CFL Plus for free. Same with the Europeans, you can watch it on there. A few other things that I wanted to mention. So there's 2 channels I wanted to shout out. Waters 27. If you anyone that's new to the league and you want to go watch any games from last year, Waters has all of them on there, so that if you want to see what the games are like, or what the leagues are like, or what the league's like, you can go follow his team and look up last year's schedule and see how well each team did against you last year. Also, I just watched this. I just found out I'm in a documentary. So this Monday official documentary, this is for the Hamilton-Toronto rivalry. If you ever want to know about the Hamilton and Toronto rivalry, go watch this documentary. I just watched it, and I highly recommend it. But that is Rick from Tycats Talk Network about what the CFL is. Don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, turn on notification bell as well if you found this content knowledgeable. Also, don't forget, I am going to be going live on February 11th to be doing the CFL free agents coverage. My coverage will be starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Free agent starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock noon Eastern, and I'll be doing it till about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So if you want to find out any CFL free agent news, this is the channel to find it on. But again, this is Rick from Tycat Network, and have yourself a great rest of your day.